Ready?
Hi, my name is Mr. Taylor, and I am going to be reading a poem by Charles Bukowski called Bluebird. This poem has meant a lot to me for a lot of years. I was turned on to this poet by a professor I had at Long Beach State when I was a student there, who was actually friends with the poet. And I had heard of Charles Bukowski, but never really got into him. And he has a pretty interesting backstory. He's I guess a local poet, a Long Beach poet, definitely Southern California. And a lot of his poems are really raw, and I wouldn't be reading them for an assignment like this. But this one shows a little bit more of a compassionate side of the poet and made a connection with me at a pretty young age, and it still kind of resonates with me today, now that I'm a little bit older, or a lot older. So, the name of the poem is Bluebird, and again, the poet is Charles Bukowski. And if you don't mind, I'm going to read it for you. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too tough for him. I say, stay in there. I'm not going to let anybody see you. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I pour whiskey on him and inhale cigarette smoke. And the whores and the bartenders and the grocery clerks never know that he's in there. There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too tough for him. I say, stay down. Do you want to mess me up? You want to screw up my works? You want to blow my book sales in Europe? There's a bluebird in my heart that wants to get out, but I'm too clever. I only let him out at night, sometimes, when everyone's asleep. I say, I know you're in there, so don't be sad. Then I put him back, but he's singing a little in there. I haven't quite let him die, and we sleep together like that, with our secret pact, and it's nice enough to make a man weep, but I don't weep. Do you? Hey, Mr. Escalante. This poem is significant to me for a lot of different reasons. One is that I feel that any good piece of literature, song, art, whatever, it has to speak to a lot of people, and I think that this does. I think that the overall message of the poem of hiding who you are to protect who you are from people that might be against you or might not understand you, I think it's pretty universal. I think that very few people are actually themselves all of the time. I think that we build up walls, and if you're able to get behind the wall, you can definitely see who the real person is and start to understand who they are, and that's really what this poem's about. So the significance overall, I don't know. It's a really nice poem. I enjoy the writing. I enjoy the tempo of the writing. There's a certain cadence to it, and you can kind of hear it as you're reading it. Impact on my life, I don't think that it had like a significant impact. I don't think it was like a life-changing poem any more than hearing an amazing song would be. So maybe there was an impact, but nothing earth-shattering, nothing life-changing. It's just a poem that I seem to come back to time and time again as just kind of this personality definition. And again, just the same way that you might do with a song that you want to hear every so often. And you're just like, oh yeah, I'm kind of feeling that song. I'm feeling these words. I'm feeling that poem. So, because I feel a lot like the speaker. Because remember, don't get author and speaker crossed. Although this particular poet did write a lot from himself, he did build a persona as well. But the speaker of the poem, I think, resonates with me because, I have to kind of hide who I am every day at work. I like to give myself over to my students. I like to be myself, but at the same time, I'm not the same way that I am with my students as I am with, my daughter or my mom or my best friends. You build up personas and you try to protect yourself, essentially. So I guess how it would resonate is we might be better off taking down the walls. We might be better off just leaving ourselves exposed and open sometimes, and maybe we would all understand each other a little bit more and get along a little bit better. Other than that, yeah, that's pretty much it.